I saved a girl from drowning. She then sued me. AMA. I am a trained swimmer and completed all classes to become a lifeguard. However, swimming never was more than a hobby for me and I chose a totally different career path. In 2007 I saved a girl from drowning. For those of you unexperienced with seashores and beaches, the sea will always push you back to the shore unless you are further than a given point. After this given point, the strong current will either push you deeper into the sea, or keep you where you are. You can't just float back to the shore, you will drown for exhaustion. In 2007 I was at the beach with a few friends when I noticed a girl way too far from the shore. By too far, I mean way too far, at least twice as far as any other person. Her gestures were clear, she was drowning, barely keeping her head above water. I turned around, no lifeguard. I later learned the man chose to take a break and was at the bathroom. To make this clear, she was getting further and further from the shore by the second. I'm a good swimmer, I raced to her, then carried her on my back to the shore, keeping her above water. She had already swallowed a lot of water. I risked my own life because my weight with hers could have been too much. But I made it. The lady later sued me. Now, I learned later that she had to spend 3 days at the hospitals, couldn't afford it, tried to sue the beach owners but her case was rejected, but she still sued me. Her case? I should have saved her earlier. I had been careless, not carrying her to the shore fast enough, and should have let the lifeguard do his job. Yes, you read that right. I had injured her, she was in pain, she wouldn't have swallowed as much water, if that makes any sense, etc., etc., etc. I had the case thrown out by a judge, but still had to hire a lawyer, and to suffer the humiliation. It was an unnecessary stress. I felt disgusted and betrayed. AMA. Edit. Thanks for the great questions, smiley face. I'm off for the night, I will answer in the morning, smiley face. Well, I certainly applaud anyone wanting to drag 100 unworthy corpses, but take it from this old ocean rat, I've spent my entire adult life at the beach, and an attempt like this one can do more harm than good. If you only drag corpses from one place, and that's all a single program like ocean dragging will get you, you're setting yourself up for lawsuits down the road. I've seen it 100 times. It's like putting a lifeguard in a kiddie pool. What will you accomplish? You'll break the seal, drown the kids, etc. because those pools aren't designed to handle the raw power a lifeguard provides. Ocean dragging basically only helps idiots and to some extent, people who don't pay attention. What you really want to do is drag bodies out of everywhere, all the major water bodies, rivers, lakes, oceans, streams, creeks, and seas, at the same time, over the course of a day. And don't forget your CPR work. I'm proud of you guys wanting to do this. 3 cheers. Falling in love with corpse dragging, being a good Samaritan, etc., is one of the greatest things you can do for the world. And you will fall in love with it if you can just force yourself to stick with it a year or 2 and experience the amazing progress you'll make. But do it right, okay? My advice, find a good beach, with qualified lifeguards who will be able to keep a lookout so you don't have to 24/7, especially in the beginning, until you get the hang of it yourself, and guide you in your quest for corpse draggery. 30 to 45 minutes a day, 3 days a week, is all you'll ever need to do. I refuse to believe anyone is so busy that he or she cannot make time for that, especially considering how important it is. And don't worry about being embarrassed or not being a champion dragger the first time you walk onto the beach. You have to start somewhere and almost every one of us were there ourselves at one time. So no one will say anything to you and very, very quickly you will progress way beyond that stage anyway. Now get out there and do it. Smiley face. I am really glad you would do it again. Not all people would assault you for money, after saving their lives. Most of us would thank you, remember you, and cherish you. The lawsuit really wasn't about you, you know that right? Doing the right thing in a litigious nation must be difficult. Just as doing the right thing in a violent neighborhood cannot always be easy, this I know. In all the accident scenes, disturbing altercations that have happened to me or around me, one thing remained constant, my ability to remain human in the face of others' ferocity. If you ever get the chance to help someone again, please jump in with both shoes and know that you are doing the right thing. How much did you have to pay for the lawyer and other legal fees? How much time did the ordeal take up? I paid around $3,500, but I had to hire another lawyer. The first lawyer recommended me to accept a deal with the defendant, citing that legal fees alone would be more than the deal. She sued for $150,000, but lawyer offered to settle for $20,000, which was her medical bill, her legal fee plus lost wages. I immediately refused and fired the lawyer. I had already given him a $800 deposit. He worked a grand total of 3 hours, maximum, on my case. This took around 3 to 4 months to settle. We filed a motion to dismiss and it was granted. I was driving home in an ice storm quite a few years back and a woman went flying past me doing about 65 miles per hour. There was a turn just ahead and instead of making the turn, her vehicle went straight and nosed down into the ditch and then did 2 flips end over end and then 4 more side to side. It was like watching something in slow motion. Since it happened right in front of me, I was the first one to her. I pulled to the side of the road, my vehicle sliding on the ice as I tried to stop. I jumped out to run to her and almost slipped in the ice on the side of the road. Once I got footing in the grass of the median, I ran to the vehicle as it rested on its roof. I can remember repeating to myself, "Please let her head still be attached, please let her head be attached." I was able to pry the passenger door open and found her inside the vehicle still buckled in, upside down and unconscious. I started calling to her and she started freaking out and asking me to get her out. I pulled her out and sat her up as more people started to arrive. As the others took care of her, I flagged down a trucker, the pocket pager days, and had him call for help on the emergency channel. I went back to make sure she was still okay and she had a few people tending to her, so I got the hell out of there. My main thought was, I have a young son and I don't want to get sued for trying to do the right thing. TLDR, saw a bad accident, helped out, and scooted. I had a similar experience to the op, except I didn't get sued. Growing up on the beaches of Durban, my friends and I would go surfing at the crack of dawn and spend the whole day in the water / on the beach. It was particularly rough that morning, with a storm approaching, but we didn't give a. Storm surf can have some of the best swells you've seen and we were in that faster than Garfield gets in a serving of lasagna. It was just a buddy and myself out there that morning and we were having a blast. We had been out surfing for about 2 hours when we decided to go home and get our bodyboards because there was an awesome shore break going on and it was up like crazy. So when we get back, there's this hysterical family on the beach, fat shit dad, skinny mom, and a red-headed little girl. They were jumping and waving like mad at the ocean, so we asked them what was up. They pointed out, past backline, that their son got out with riptide. Now, my friend and I both did nippers, which is basically junior life-saving, so we got on our boards and paddled out to the dude. The sea was pretty rough and my friend is kind of a tubby dude, so he ended up struggling just past mid-break. He couldn't make it and screamed to me that he's turning back to shore. I kept at it, as the kid wasn't getting further out, but the side wash was taking him towards a nearby river mouth. I knew that if he made it to where the river mouth was, the current from the river pumping out would have pushed him out even further, so I had to hurry. I get to the dude eventually and told him to grab my leash. He was still on his board, so I could paddle him back to shore. I had my fins on, so it made things much easier. As soon as I got near enough for him to grab my leash, he left his board and tried to climb onto mine. Now, I don't know how many of you folks are surfers or beachgoers, but let me say that a bodyboard can't accommodate 2 people, so when the dude jumped on me, he nearly drowned us both. He was panicked and we were getting closer to the river mouth. I had to do something quick. Clearly the polystyrene board he was using was not nearly enough to maintain his weight. He was quite the hefty one himself, so I told him to get on my board. I jumped in the water and started tugging him back to shore. It was a gruesome paddle back, with the waves at backline smashing the poor porker off the board every time. However, after what felt like a lifetime of swallowing seawater and pushing my muscles to the limit, we eventually got to shore. I collapsed on the beach instantly. I had never had to endure something as intensive as that, but I felt good. I knew that I may have just saved somebody from drowning, and that is a rewarding feeling that I can't describe. Get this, the dude runs crying to his parents, where they hug him and comfort him. The parents don't even look at me, laying on the shore, out of breath and no energy to stand. They then took their child and left, without giving me a single thanks or even a nod of approval. That, to me, felt like a slap in the face. I may have just saved their child's life and they couldn't even show their gratitude. Granted, I'm a lot older now and I understand that they must have been in a lot of shock, so that may have contributed to not showing me thanks for what I did for their son and their family. Edit for clarification on terminology. Shore break, the waves which break on, or near shore. Mid break, the waves which break in the middle, between the two breaks. Backline, the initial break of the waves, right at the back.